Architecture is not so much a specific discipline as it is a generalist one. And so being able to relate to different circumstances is perhaps a more valuable skill than any other. The projects that I find most personally gratifying are those where I can see, where I can experience the value that it adds to others. And so if I can look and observe and watch people enjoying the spaces, using them in ways which I might not even have thought of, but which are so true to the spirit of the effort, these are the things which validate the initial efforts that I did on the design side of things. And all of the relationships that were built, I mean, that's the end goal, to have something physical, concrete, bettering the built world. I'm Parke MacDowell. I'm an architect and a fabricator. Beyond Walls came together in late 2016. Al Wilson was the key initiator.
Beyond Walls is a non-profit organization headquartered in Lynn, Massachusetts, with the mission of activating spaces to strengthen communities. Lynn is an amazingly fantastic city, extremely diverse, with great people and great organizations.
There's a rail line in Lynn that goes straight through downtown, and there's a series of underpasses which were dark and were areas where there was an increased amount of crime and also vehicle pedestrian accidents. So what we've got in this underpass lighting is 16,000 square feet in the course of 3 underpasses and an arcade of dynamic color-changing LED lighting.
The underpass lighting has been really transformative. Parties feel so much safer walking under these underpasses, knowing that they're well lit and that they can be seen from the vehicles.
So in addition to underpass lighting, we had a Mural Festival. We've got more than 80 murals in downtown Lynn. And so every street corner, every time you look up, you see a story, something which relates not just to the stories the artist wanted to tell, but to the stories of the community. And these are really born of the experiences of the people that live in this place.
So Parke MacDowell was the lead architect on WASH as well as the fabricator on WASH.
And so I took the ideas that I was hearing from Beyond Walls and from the broader community and synthesized them into a design which was efficient from a fabrication vantage and aesthetically appealing. And perhaps most importantly, engage local labor like students at Lynn Tech Vocational High School to fabricate the projects. I would make a Rhino 3D model of the product. I would unfold it. I would figure out where all the holes need to go and where the pieces need to be cut, and then have the instructions for how to put it back together again and assemble it quickly and put it on the street. And so these are standalone units with a foot pump and an internal tank, and then it drains into a local swale or into the sewer with biodegradable soap. And so they can serve communities in ways that were not being met.
So as the pandemic then continued, really there was a shared community need from all the mom and pop restaurants that to stay solvent, they were gonna need to expand out beyond their 4 walls.
So Fold employs a very similar system to what we used for WASH. It's laser cut sheet metal, stainless steel, with score lines that you can use to fold the metal, almost like you would a piece of paper, like origami. And so that means you need very simple tools, just a drill to put sheet metal screws into it to capture it together. These are easy to drop on site, and then you fill the bottom either with cinder blocks or bricks, or you screw it to the pavement, or you fill it with the water bladders. And then on top, there's a recess where you can put plantings, and you can very quickly create quite a beautiful space for outdoor dining, one which activates the streetscape and provides increased economic opportunities for local businesses. With community help, we're building these efforts and installing them in the streets where everyone can experience it. That's an incredibly effective way to reinforce the value of local voices and to empower communities through actual executed work.
Parke was very involved in the PEDX at Northeastern. He was the project architect for that portion of the project and really helped us formulate many, many aspects of the design strategy. Parke's ability to sort of combine computational side of things with his knowledge of fabrication was invaluable in that process.
The bridge is an arc in plan and in elevation, and it sweeps from one side of the tracks all the way to land next to the library on the main campus on the other side of the tracks. And structurally, it's asymmetrical. You've got a big girder, which carries most of the load on one side on the west, and then a smaller girder, which is flat and almost level with the walkway, and opens up the bridge to views to the city and to our building on the east. And here's where the computational design comes in. The fins along that east low parapet start to fan out almost like fish scales. And as you come across the bridge, it's really a dynamic experience, closed as you go one direction, and then slowly opening as you come back the other way. And it fans open to have glass about a foot wide and 14 feet tall that expose views to downtown Boston and to the Science and Engineering Complex to the south. So in the course of just one night, with a whole bunch of preparation that preceded it, obviously, we swung the bridge into place, the main span, and dropped it over the tracks.
What I love about the project and the way that Parke was involved in many aspects of it is that you never visibly see or experience these obstacles that were part of the project. You sort of just see it for the sculpture that it is and as a fluid sort of line that connects one end of campus from the other.
So it's a big, rusty bridge, and there's a reason for that. So the material is weathering steel, which forms a layer of rust, a protective patina, which keeps the bridge from deteriorating structurally. We love the feeling of this. It's warm, it's kind of earthy, it has a presence which is not that familiar to Boston, but very much at home. It's an aggressive piece of architecture in its geometry and its material, but it's also very quiet and pragmatic in other respects. More than anything else, it's generous in the way that it treats the communities around the project. It's really a resource that doesn't just serve the university, but it physically connects in a really delightful way the communities of Fenway and of Roxbury. And it's open 24/7 to anybody who's passing through.
Since Parke has been here, he's really helped establish our fabrication practice and has integrated it into the practice from just a small core group of people to a much larger network of people.
So I'm an architect, and I'm also a fabricator, and I use a lot of computational design to develop the geometry that I use in my work in order to do things more efficiently or more elegantly, or craft some kind of beauty which is otherwise unattainable. I have an affinity for metals and steel especially. I love laser cutting or CNC bending, but melded with things that are more manual, like welding. And so this is something which I never imagined I'd use as an architect, but I do it all the time.
Parke has a very unique set of skills. He's a very accomplished technical architect, but he also has a very unique design sensitivity. But more importantly, he's incredibly easy to collaborate with, and he brings people together.
Outside of Parke's amazing abilities as an architect, as a designer, and obviously very uniquely also as a fabricator, is his interpersonal skills, his roll up his sleeves and get stuff done and can-do attitude is very infectious.
It's a rare thing in an architect where you have someone that has these technical knowledge and immense design sensitivity and the ability to communicate across multiple different platforms.
Architecture is not so much a specific discipline as it is a generalist one. And so being able to relate to different circumstances is perhaps a more valuable skill than any other.
All of these complex problem-solving things and these technical skill sets that come with being an engineer really help him sort of think about formulating how to do amazing things. Everything he touches, whether it's a model, it's stunningly beautiful, elegantly composed, exquisite choice of materials, or the drawing that was used to create that model has that same level of clarity. And that's something that I really appreciate in the way that he works, is that excellence is just not focused on the end product, but it's all the different steps along the way, which is something that's incredibly helpful to have in a practice like ours, because it makes everyone better by seeing that process and the rigor that was employed to achieve the end results.
The collaborations with Beyond Walls has garnered awards from the Boston Society of Architects, from AIA National, from the Rudy Bruner Foundation, and others, but I get extra value from a project if other people who are involved in the project feel a true ownership stake. If I can look at it and say, that's mine, and a dozen other people can look at it and say the exact same thing with complete sincerity, that's an incredibly successful project. Through that process of sharing, the overall value of the project is increased. And so that's what these awards have highlighted for me more than anything else. What I'm seeing right now is a kind of momentum, both in the public and in the kind of government level, local municipalities. There's a momentum and an inertia to take action, and I want to capitalize on that because the time has never been more ripe for really constructive public-facing work.